Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Friday 15 live chats. We are running just a few seconds late as our guest is just arriving and getting settled, and we'll be ready to go with our live chat as Mary Peabody talks with Beth Kennett in just a moment here. So please stand by.
Okay, Bob, I think we're ready to go. How's the sound?
It's
Hey,
good,
Bob.
Mary. Go ahead. Hi.
Perfect, great. So hi, everybody. Sorry for the little bit of a delay here. We have got a very busy entrepreneur to talk with us today, and she just literally rolled in here. So I'm Mary Peabody with UVM Extension, and welcome. It's Friday 15 again already, unbelievably. So our guest today is Beth Kennett, and she is with Liberty Hill Farm, and she's got a lot to tell you. So I'll start by saying, Beth, I know this is impossible, but give us the 2-minute summary of what Liberty Hill Farm is.
Thanks so much for having me. This is so exciting. Liberty Hill Farm is a working dairy farm, and we milk about 100 cows. And in addition to that, for the last 30 years, we've been taking in guests to our farm,
Wow.
providing lodging and meals. It's been amazing, absolutely wonderful experience to have guests come and visit the farm and meet the cows and learn about agriculture.
Super. So 30 years, that's pretty impressive. You pretty much started the whole ag tourism thing, I think. So I understand that you have an international guest list and that you have been welcoming guests from around the world. And I wonder, just talk a little bit about your marketing strategy and how you reach out to this kind of an audience group.
I think that it's fascinating to me to have so many international guests that have come literally since the very first summer. In 1984, we had a gentleman there from Argentina. And this summer, we've had guests from Denmark, from South Africa. I mean, you name the continent, I've had the guests. And yes, I know Antarctica is a continent, but we had a researcher who spent 5 years there and came from there to our farm. So no penguins are coming, so I figure he counts. As far as marketing, we've been very blessed over the years to have been written up by the media a number of times, but really how we started was one of the other inns in the area. And I really want to make note of that. Never think of others who are doing what you are doing as your competitors, but instead do it in a cooperative fashion. And of course that always ties in with the university extension, the whole idea of cooperative extension. Right. So I believe in working cooperatively with other inns and other bed and breakfasts and other farms in the area. And that whole rising tide floats all boats. That's how I got started, because another inn in the area was written up in the New York Times, and they told me, hey, if you want to do it now. They gave us our first guests, and I've tried to pass that on to other inns and farm stays, not just here in Vermont, but throughout the entire United States. I'm part of the Farm Stay US program, and we send guests from our farm to farms anywhere in the country.
Terrific. And I'm guessing that word of mouth from your customers is also a really big feature. So once people come.
Absolutely. We had guests there this morning for breakfast from Ohio, and they promised that they were going to go home and tell all their friends they had to come visit Vermont and stay at our farm. So word of mouth, repeats, and just, again, I can't stress enough that cooperative nature of, if you don't have a room available, make sure you send it to another farm stay.
Right, so don't let that guest get away.
No, definitely not. Don't let them stay at a Motel 6 when they can go and visit a real farm.
So you've got 30 years of perspective in this ag tourism gig, and that's pretty much as long as ag tourism has been, probably longer than it's been called ag tourism.
Yeah. Well, I think one of our extension staff and I were trying to figure out how to spell it 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder what changes you've seen in the tourism industry over that time, and how you've adjusted to those changes.
What has been amazing to me, when we started in 1984, it was when the start of the whole bed and breakfast boom was going, and people didn't know how to spell that either. They didn't know if it was bread and board or bed and basket or board and basket or what was that. And so adding the component of the farm really kind of confused some people, or they really weren't sure what this was. What's been fascinating to me over the last 30 years is that people now really get it, and they get really excited, and we've become part of the whole food movement. And Food Network television hadn't even been invented when I started. So if you think about the major components of how people's attitude and their interest and desire to learn about where their food comes from and what goes into that food, and to make that connection, that has been a major, really significant change since 1984. 1984, we were, a bed and a pillow. And I had a gentleman say to me, well, you have to figure out what makes you different and unique. And we were in a room of 200 innkeepers, and he looked at me and he said, you have cows. And yeah, exactly. And I'm like, whoa, I have cows. Oh, wow, that makes me different. And interestingly, it still does. There's not that many dairy farms that offer the bed and breakfast. So that is still our unique niche, is the dairy farm that is open to people. I think another piece that has changed that we really do struggle with is the lack of education, the lack of understanding of the consumer and the public about agriculture and about what a standard operating practice is, and that we do care for our animals with great passion. And they don't understand that. And they see if a cow is tied in a stall, they worry about it. And we're like, no, well, we really don't want them out in traffic. So, do you put your children in a classroom, in a school? Do you have, some kind of parameters around your children? Well, these are our children. So what has been fascinating to me is really the lack of understanding that people have about basic agriculture, and how we are constantly working on educating people. So that's a huge, really significant component of what I do.
Wow, that's interesting. And just, you probably don't know exactly, but just a rough guess of your guests, how many come because it's a working dairy farm versus they're just looking for an opportunity?
I would say easily 90-95% of my guests
so
come because it's a farm.
It's a farm. It's a working farm.
Yes.
So that's definitely one of the niches.
It's a huge piece of why they come.
So I know another change that's happened in the last 30 years, because I've watched you and many others struggle with it, is the internet wasn't really the internet 30 years ago.
Yeah, we didn't know
we didn't have things like web pages. I think probably if you and I had sat 30 years ago and said, well, we're going to have to do web pages and social media, and
we didn't know it existed 30
but
years ago.
you've figured out how to do that, and in spite of the fact that you live in a valley that doesn't have
the internet all the
terrific
time.
connections.
Website is absolutely mandatory, and nowadays social media is mandatory as well. And that's a huge piece that is still incredibly challenging for me. I know I don't do Twitter. I'm busy cooking. It's like I can't do all the social media pieces.
Right.
But fortunately, last night my daughter-in-law posted something. Yesterday my niece posted something for me on Facebook. Getting your guests to post for you is a wonderful way of trying to be a part of the social media scene, which is absolutely critical.
Great.
You have to be there. So get your guests involved, get other family members involved, get your friends involved, posting about the farm and talking about it, and getting other people engaged to help you with that is absolutely vital, because I can't do it all.
Right. Yeah. And it's another one of those ways that guests can sort of pay it forward and help spread the word, is that you may not have time to be on Facebook 4 hours a day, but some of your guests probably do.
They are.
Particularly when they're in the car on the way back home or something.
Yeah, and then how cool is that they'll post about you before they really left the farm. That's wonderful.
That's
so getting that social engagement is really extremely important. There's a lot of marketing changes in 30 years, Mary.
A lot of different ways that we do things. Yes. So is the internet now your primary marketing tool?
Yes, I would say probably at least 80% of our guests new guests minimum of 80% find us through the internet.
Uh-huh.
And then even when you are written up in print, we were just written up in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago, but people go online to read the Wall Street Journal.
Yes.
And so then they see it there.
True.
So it's like, okay, yes, you can be written up in print, but then that print probably goes digital within a day or a week, and so then people are still finding you through an online version of something that was written. So the internet is absolutely the vehicle that people use. And they look for the review sites. You always have to be very aware of your TripAdvisor review.
I see. Okay.
There's a lot of different components, and the web page is just one component of your internet presence, only one. And in some ways, maybe not the most important. Don't tell a marketer I said that. I mean, your web page is vital. It has to have lots of information, but it also has to be readily accessible for people to see it on their phone.
So, I mean, I know I've seen you in sort of some web design classes and some internet marketing classes over the years. So, and I know that you've in the past done a lot of your work. But, you know, what's your advice for people just starting out around working with a consultant?
Absolutely, work with a consultant, hire a professional. I mean, yes, I've attended all your classes, Mary, and I've tried really, really hard. I've utilized the resources of UVM Extension whenever they've held classes, and you know what? You need a professional. Sorry. Bottom line is, I found that the classes are important for me to be able to talk intelligently to the
Sorry, everybody. Looks like we lost our connection with Mary and Beth. We will try and get them back as soon as possible. We're still working to get our connection back with Mary and Beth out in Vermont, and hopefully we'll have them back for you to wrap up this Friday 15 chat very soon. A reminder that our next Friday 15 will be October 3rd at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can find out more about Friday 15 and subscribe to be notified of chats at powerofbusiness.net. Please hang on with us just a couple of more minutes, and hopefully we will be able to get Mary and Beth back with you to wrap up today's conversation. I apologize. It seems like we're not going to be able to get Mary and Beth back online. But I do appreciate you tuning in to today's Power Business Friday 15 live chat, and I hope that you'll join us next month for our Friday 15 on October 3rd, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, for another conversation with a real small business owner and entrepreneur about making small businesses successful. If you have questions for Mary, please post them to the Google Plus event page or to the YouTube watch page for this video, and we'll be sure to get those to her, and hopefully that she can respond to you with her answers. Again, thanks again. Please visit powerofbusiness.net to subscribe to the Friday 15 live chats, and we'll talk to you next month. Thanks.